And some breaking news out of Vernon Parish. Fort Polk will become Fort Johnson during a redesignation ceremony now on June 13th.
Yeah, that name is in honor of Sergeant William Henry Johnson, a World War I Medal of Honor recipient from North Carolina who served in the 369th U.S. Infantry Regiment. That change is due to an order from Congress to rename U.S. military posts named after Confederate officers. A report from the commission tasked with renaming posts said the project would cost $21 million nationwide.
And Fort Polk is one of 9 being renamed, and officials said the process for the Vernon Parish post alone will cost an estimated $1.3 million. The naming commission said that money will be used to rebrand everything from welcome marquees to street signs to water towers and hospital doors.